So very warm welcome to everybody. I'm joined today by Victoria Clark, who is the Clinical Services Manager at the OT practice, and that's just for the adults
It's
side.
just the adults team, yeah.
Great. Thanks for joining me, Victoria.
Thank you.
So could you start by giving us a little bit of background to the OT practice itself and explain a little bit about how you work as an organisation?
Yeah, definitely. So the OT practice is an independent occupational therapy company providing expert clinical OT services via our nationwide network of private occupational therapists. We're made up of an office team and the independent therapist based in the community. All of our therapists have at least 5 years clinical experience in their area of chosen specialism. And we maintain a clinically led service with our director Nikki being an OT, and we also have clinical service managers within our office team. We've also last year developed our clinical lead team leads across our main clinical specialisms, who are treating therapists across the country, and they provide specialist support across the network. We developed this in order to stay sort of up to date with service development and allow us to tailor specific services to the individual specialisms. We have 3 main teams within the company who look after our different referrers. We have the key accounts team who look after bulk contracts with clients such as the military charities, local authorities, schools, inpatient rehab settings. Then our client management team, we have the adults team and the paediatrics team, which look after individual clients with referrals from case managers, solicitors, private clients, and local authorities, CCGs. So although we're a nationwide network, our therapists and are spread across sort of all 4 countries of the UK. We're very much one team, and the office team and the therapists work very closely together on all of our cases. Via this process, we maintain our high standards that we expect of our therapists. And in order to do this, we do a QA check on all reports before they're issued to referrers. And all cases go through a sort of continual QA process via the office team in order to maintain timeframes and just ensure that cases are running smoothly. And many of our therapists might come to us as their first experience outside of statutory services, and we work with them through a sort of structured induction process to make sure that they receive a private introduction to private practice.
Correct. Fantastic. Sounds like a very broad-ranging service.
Yes.
Next to it. So as a case management company, we work with clients that have very complex needs. Could you give us an example of, or a snapshot of complex clients that you would be providing rehabilitation for? Just an idea.
Yeah, definitely. We receive a large variety of cases from our referrers, from especially case management clients with catastrophic life-changing injuries such as traumatic brain injuries or limb amputations, through to injured servicemen through the charities such as Help for Heroes, and also long-term health conditions from our CCG colleagues. So one of our clients that we've been actively involved with for 2 years now sustained a significant brain injury around 4 years ago, which resulted in global cognitive impairment, mood and behaviour disturbances. And over the course of this client's intervention, our therapist has worked on sort of building a routine to provide support around initiation and engagement in activities, re-engaged in previously enjoyed activities, community leisure tasks, and during engaging in these, building the strategies that the client needed to support their executive functioning difficulties and also the behavioural disturbances. Alongside this, working on fatigue management strategies to support both the physical and cognitive fatigue that came with sort of re-engaging in everyday life, as well as the mental health difficulties that arose from the emerging insight into the difficulties since the brain injury. And obviously working with these clients, there's a lot of MDT working, so working with other people such as support workers, neuropsychologists, physios, case managers, and a lot of our clients come from case management colleagues, and even if on the surface their injuries might not be what we would class as catastrophic, because of the nature of the injuries being a traumatic event such as a road traffic collision or a work-related accident, the client's journeys are often complex in themselves. This can be due to physical, mental health components of their recovery, and we want to work with them to provide a sort of holistic approach to make sure that we maintain all of their needs, whether it's fatigue, depression, pain, anxiety. These will all have sort of a interlinked impact on the client's functional abilities. And a lot of these cases require sort of a multifaceted approach just to make sure that we receive a positive outcome for the client and it's not purely isolated to delivery of equipment.
Fantastic. We are often, referring to private services, therapy services such as yours for our clients, but I'm interested from your point of view and us watching why somebody might use a private occupational therapy service as opposed to using statutory services. What is it you think that that people can get through a private service such as yours that they wouldn't get through the statutory sector?
Yeah, definitely. So overall, I think we aim to provide a holistic service for our clients. It's not that we believe that clients will experience a better standard of care, as many of our therapists work within the public sector and they're still excellent at what they do, regardless of what service they're working for. However, we'd like clients to experience more control and choice over their intervention. So we don't have to adhere to the same constraints that are found in the public sector. So this allows us to provide intervention that's much more client-centered and focused around their areas of interest and importance, rather than led by service or budget parameters. Particularly at the moment, obviously services are overwhelmed and can have really long waiting lists. We have no waiting time, therefore there's almost always immediate access to therapy assessments and intervention. Where possible, we can provide clients with a choice of therapist to, again, provide them with that increased level of control and autonomy into their own intervention. And we work specifically with clients in their own environments, so whether that's home, work, leisure, schools, therefore the intervention is delivered in their own familiar surroundings and is specific to their needs in those locations. And we also find that clients come to us to explore alternatives to the public sector provisions. So when that's been sort of exhausted, to potentially for things like just getting out of that clinical aesthetic of some of the options in the statutory services, or whether it's things that are just not available. So more functional wheelchairs, scooters, different pieces of equipment they might want to explore.
Okay, fantastic. And given that you're an occupational therapy service, I wondered if there are any new techniques or new developments going on within the field of rehabilitation for occupational therapists. For example, new approaches, techniques, equipment, anything like that you can talk about?
So I would say the most kind of key at the moment really has been in response to the coronavirus pandemic, which has been the implementation of remote services. So the remote delivery of intervention. We had been using this delivery method on a minority of cases in conjunction with face-to-face visits. So for example, our hand therapy clients, where there's few and far between for hand therapists across the country. So where the client and the therapist were maybe not geographically that close, we would be interchanging face-to-face sessions and virtual sessions in order to get that continued intervention. So we weren't completely starting from scratch when the pandemic began. So we were very quickly able to pull together a plan for remote services and intervention within the first few weeks. We've actually received a sort of overwhelming response to this delivery method from both therapists, clients and referrers. And we've been very fortunate that clients have been understanding of the need to sort of alter that delivery and accepting it and allowing us to assist clients where we may not have been usually able to assist. So we've had a few clients who have made inquiries with us in areas where we may not have therapists, so in sort of really rural locations. And actually now we can provide that remote service. We can give them the best therapist across the country, and doesn't matter where the therapist or the client is located, they can still access that support. And we just collectively felt that it wasn't an option for clients to wait to receive that intervention, especially because nobody knew how long that wait was going to have to be. For many of our clients, particularly those with case management colleagues, their rehab is so time crucial, and the additional difficulties that came from lockdown, such as reduction in other support services, healthcare services, even childcare, made our intervention like really time crucial. So we made sure that we could deliver that and deliver it quickly. It's obviously been a huge learning curve for us and our therapists. However, we've implemented sort of detailed guidance and procedures, as well as remote training sessions for our therapists. And I think it's taught us so much of what we traditionally thought of as only being able to be achieved face-to-face. We've discovered it is possible remotely. And our aim is to sort of maintain that level of choice and control for the clients, and offering referrers sort of a timely and more cost-effective solution to get the best therapy for their clients. We've also been able to restructure some therapist interventions, so changing it up and making the delivery more appropriate for the client, where they're not having to do all of the travel. They're able to sort of get in different sessions. So it's been really positive.
I think I spoke to another occupational therapy provider recently, and she said something very similar for their service, and it made me think that there are possibilities in the future for combining remote working, face-to-face working. So actually, there's going to be a better way. I'm not suggesting just remote working is a better way, but I think in the future there will be a better way, a more effective way of delivering certain therapies anyway for clients, which involve that combination of face-to-face treatment and using remote working. So
yeah, definitely.
Quite excited. So obviously we're a case management company. I'm interested to know that obviously your clinicians are part of a multidisciplinary team. So what do you think are the qualities of a good case manager, and how do you like to see them working alongside your clinicians and members of the MDT?
Yeah, so I actually personally love working with case managers. It's a part of my role that I really enjoy. Within my role, I find it really useful to speak to case managers who really know their clients and have a clear plan for their intervention and the direction that they're sort of working on towards the case. It's really helpful for us and our therapists to receive referrals that provide the information for our therapists to get straight in and do that assessment, and to have sort of clear expectations of their role within the wider MDT. And it's not about case managers dictating the assessment or the recommendations that are going to come out of it, but it makes a huge difference to our input when there's a collaborative approach and a common goal that everyone's working towards. So I think communication is a really key quality. Knowledge of the funding position is really helpful for us. And we can work together to make sure that we propose a service delivery that stands the best chance of being approved for the client, and just make sure that the client's receiving that timely intervention. Personally, I see the case manager as the glue that kind of holds that team together. So somebody who's able to lead a team is often a noticeable quality that we see in a sort of strong case manager. And our office team are the main port of call for case managers to call and discuss either potential inquiries or current cases. So I've got to know a lot of case managers really very well, and it's been really enjoyable to sort of build those relationships with so many people across the country. But it's a funny relationship because it's predominantly telephone or email communication. So we could have spent an hour talking on the phone and walk past each other in the street and not recognise each other. So it's been really lovely to sort of meet up at sort of different various events and conferences such as like CMS UK, Bavicum, VRA, and just put the faces to voices, as it were. So yeah, that's always a really nice opportunity.
That's great. Thanks, Victoria. That I was thinking, good. That will give us some tips for improving our service.
Good.
Well, that's been really useful, Victoria. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
No problem.